Perfectionism isn't a virtue. It's a productivity leak that turns simple tasks into lifelong projects. If you've ever stared at a nearly finished slide, email, or project and refused to hit send because one detail fell off, this will change how you work. First, I'll give you 3 practical moves you can use today to finish more, fret less, and still do good work. Decide what good enough actually means, time box the mess out of your tasks, and turn improvements into a future checklist instead of an endless now. For example, set a 25 or 45-minute timer and force a one-pass draft of that report. Label the version V1. Answers top 3 questions so you know when to stop. Create a short, fix later list with at most 5 items. Think of progress like building a house. Get the walls up and the roof on before you obsess over the perfect paint shade. Your inner critic wants perfection. Your calendar wants results. And they can coexist if you use rules, not feelings, to decide when something is done. Right now, pick one small task, set a timer, and aim to ship a working version before the buzzer. That tiny win will beat perfect indecision every time. How perfectionism secretly blocks action. Perfectionism often begins as a useful push toward quality, but it can quietly turn into a barrier that stops work in its tracks. The mind shifts from make this good to don't release until it's flawless, and that tiny pivot changes behavior. Tasks are postponed, decisions are delayed, and momentum evaporates. The result is fewer finished items, not better ones, because action is the only way to get feedback and improve. A few common mechanics explain how this happens. Fear of criticism makes you edit endlessly rather than publish. All-or-nothing thinking converts small problems into first can't do this roadblocks, and decision paralysis appears when every choice feels like it must be the perfect one. For example, someone might spend an hour adjusting colors on a slide deck instead of clarifying the single point they want the audience to remember. Or a writer keeps rewriting the first paragraph until the deadline passes and the piece never sees the light of day. These are not rare flukes. They're a pattern where low-impact details eat time that should go toward meaningful progress. There are concrete ways to chip away at the secret blocking. First, define what done looks like before you start. Write one clear sentence that says what a finished version must accomplish. Then force a quick first pass. Produce something rough that hits that outcome and give yourself permission to stop. Use short time blocks and a strict end point so polishing becomes a scheduled activity rather than a default. Create a ship rule for small tasks. One edit pass and out the door. Replace perfectionist questions like is this perfect with pragmatic ones such as does this communicate the idea clearly? A manager first no requires one-sentence goals on new projects. It prevents feature creep because the team has a simple success checkpoint. Other practical tools help keep perfectionism from sneaking back in. Label drafts clearly V1, V2, and set a version after which changes must be bundled into the next iteration. This makes progress visible. Use templates and checklists for predictable work so you don't reinvent formatting each time. Give a trusted colleague permission to stop you by asking them to ask one question when they see you polishing past the point. Is this moving us closer to the goal? If you catch yourself stalling, try a tiny experiment. Release a minimal version and ask for a single piece of feedback. You'll either get that feedback or learn you worried about a problem that doesn't exist. Keep expectations realistic and your tone kind. Perfectionism evolved as a way to avoid mistakes, but the consequence is often fewer finished projects and more stress. Trade absolute perfection for steady improvement. Decide on modest, measurable steps you can take today and treat iteration like the norm, not the fallback. It's practical, it works, and yes, your future self will be grateful you shipped something instead of polishing it forever. Signs you are stuck in perfectionism. Perfectionism often shows up as doing everything except the thing that actually finishes the job. You might rewrite the same email 3 times, then delete it and start over because one sentence feels off. Work piles up because launching a project or sending a file feels like stepping onto a stage where anything less than flawless will ruin your reputation. This looks like chronic tweaking, endless polishing, or an overflowing to finish list that never moves to done. Small tasks become hour-long chores. Big tasks become impossible. A common pattern is over-research and over-preparing. People read another article, grab another template, or run one more comparison instead of deciding. Concrete example. You keep updating your resume layout instead of applying to jobs. Another sign is avoidance. You put off meetings, presentations, or even short phone calls because you want everything to be perfectly arranged beforehand. Emotional reactions matter too. Feeling dread before showing work, replaying imagined mistakes, or canceling feedback sessions because you're embarrassed. Those reactions are not weakness. They're a signal that your brain is treating imperfection as danger. You'll also notice micromanaging and inability to delegate. If you redo someone else's report because it's faster, you're trading your time for control. That costs real productivity and relationships. Try this specific action. Next time you're tempted to redo a colleague's work, leave it and ask them a single clarifying question instead. Another practical tactic is time boxing. Set a short, non-negotiable timer for a task and stop when it rings. Save a labeled file as V1 and force yourself to submit or share that version. Use concrete acceptance criteria. List the 3 things that must be true for the work to be good enough, and stop once those are met. Small experiments reveal how perfectionism works in real life. Keep a simple log for a week. Write what you worked on, how long you spent, and how many times you revised it. Look for patterns. If you find you're spending most time polishing margins instead of building features, change the rule. Limit polishing to a fixed fraction of project time or to the final review only. Ask for quick feedback early. A 5-minute read from a friend will point out real problems faster than your 100th tweak. Be practical. Pick one project and commit to 3 iterations only: rough, improved, final. That small constraint helps you learn to ship without sacrificing care. It's realistic, supportive, and surprisingly liberating. Switching from perfect to good enough. Perfectionism often shows up as endless tweaking, missed deadlines, and a pile of half-finished things. Learning to settle for good enough means deciding ahead of time what outcome is truly required and stopping when that bar is met. This isn't about lowering standards arbitrarily. It's about matching effort to impact. For instance, an email that clearly answers the question and lists next steps usually does the job better than a 3-paragraph masterpiece you spent half an hour crafting. Start by writing down what done looks like before you begin. Use a very short acceptance checklist, 2 or 3 non-negotiables, and treat anything beyond that as optional. If you're making a presentation, must-haves might be a clear problem statement, 1 recommended action, and a slide showing next steps. Fancy animations and perfect typography are nice, but they're not required to move the project forward. Concrete criteria like this stop endless paralysis and give you permission to stop. Use specific process limits to keep perfectionism in check. Time box tasks with a visible timer. Do a single focus draft, then allow exactly 1 editing pass. Hand your work to a colleague for a quick sanity check instead of re-editing it yourself indefinitely. Templates help too. A standard report layout or email outline reduces the decisions you need to make and makes the finished product consistent without extra fuss. Example: draft a client summary in 20 minutes, polish for 10, then send. If something genuinely needs more polish later, schedule a follow-up revision window rather than letting it block progress now. Address the worry that drives perfectionism with simple, planned safety nets. Write down the specific worst-case outcomes you fear, and list 1 small mitigation for each. If you're afraid a published memo will get misinterpreted, add a short FAQ box or plan a quick follow-up meeting. This reduces the what-if loop and makes it easier to accept good enough. Treat early versions as experiments. Release them with a note that you'll collect feedback and iterate. That moves the emphasis from flawless first try to continuous improvement. Practice makes the switch stick. Pick low-stakes tasks to apply good enough rules. Answer basic emails quickly, clear 1 drawer in a single pass, or sketch a rough plan rather than polishing it for an hour. Track time saved or tasks completed for a week. Small wins build confidence. Lighten up. Your dish rack doesn't need to look like a magazine shoot to be clean. Keep realistic expectations and reward completion. Over time, you'll get more done with less stress, which is the point. Practical rules to finish more tasks. Perfectionism stalls progress because the focus shifts from completion to flaw hunting. When every task becomes a search for the perfect sentence, slide, or wardrobe choice, you end up reworking instead of shipping. Practical rules tilt the balance back toward finishing, with clear steps you can follow today. Decide what done looks like before you start. Write a one-line acceptance criterion for the task. For an email, subject line, 3-sentence body, 1 call to action, and send. For a report, executive summary, 3 key findings, and 2 supporting charts. Put that sentence at the top of the document or on a sticky note. If you can check it off, you stop polishing. Set tight, visible time boxes, and a hard stop. Use a timer and treat the end as non-negotiable. Block 45 minutes for the task, and when the timer rings, move to the next step even if the work isn't perfect. This creates a rhythm where progress matters more than endless tinkering. If the task truly needs more work, schedule a follow-up slot rather than looming over it all day. Break tasks into micro steps that are actually doable. Instead of write presentation, pick 3 main points, create slide titles, add bullets for slide 1. Small wins build momentum. Put the next physical action on your list. Not work on paper, but draft slide titles. That removes the vagueness that fuels perfectionist stalling. Lower the activation energy to start. Remove barriers. Have your template ready. Open the right folders. Gather files into one place. Want to exercise? Put the sneakers by the door. Want to write? Keep a clean document template with an outline. The less you have to decide before starting, the less room perfectionism has to argue. Limit the number of revisions and enforce a quality threshold. Decide in advance how many passes you'll allow. 1 full draft, 1 edit pass, done, and stick to it. Or set a simple rule. If feedback doesn't change the core message, skip the edit. Think of it like baking. You can keep checking the cake, but eventually you have to take it out of the oven. Make finishing automatic by scheduling tasks into your calendar, like meetings. Put the task name, the done criteria, and a timer on the entry. Treat that calendar block as a real appointment. If it survives your week, you'll be surprised how many things get completed just because they had a slot. Use accountability to raise the stakes. Tell one person what you'll finish and when, or post a simple update in a team chat. A friend who expects the product by lunchtime is a reliable reality check. Public commitment turns vague intentions into social tasks and reduces the temptation to endlessly refine. Batch similar tasks together to cut setup time and decision fatigue. Do a block of emails, then a block of edits, then a block of calls. Switching costs are real. Perfectionists often use them as an excuse to delay. Batching makes finishing faster and mentally cleaner. Automate and delegate what's not worth your polish. If formatting slides takes you longer than the idea is worth, hand it off or use a template. Set up recurring automations for routine items, invoice emails, data exports, and spend your attention on decisions that actually benefit from care. Create simple, if-then, fallback plans for perfectionist impulses. If you catch yourself redoing something for the 3rd time, then you stop and ask, does this improve the message? If the answer is no, you move on. This rule avoids guilt and turns decisions into quick, practical checkpoints. Track completion, not perfection. Keep a visible list of finished tasks, a checklist, or a done folder, so you actually see progress. It's easier to resist perfectionism when you can point to what you shipped this week. Celebrate small finishes, not with a parade, but with a 5-minute stretch and then the next task. Respect your energy and schedule tough work when you're sharp. Tackle high-focus tasks in a reliable window each day, and keep low-stakes tasks for when you're tired. Perfectionism loves to rear its head when energy is low. Set realistic expectations for what you can finish in each block. Finally, be realistic and kind. Perfectionism isn't a moral failing. It's a habit you can change with clear rules. Pick 1 or 2 of these practices to try for a week. Keep the ones that reduce stress and actually help you finish. Small, consistent changes beat dramatic overhauls every time. Building confidence through small wins. Completing a string of small, doable tasks reliably shifts how you judge your own abilities. Each finished item acts like a tiny proof point that you can follow through. Psychologists describe this as accumulating evidence of competence. Your brain notices action, rewards it, and makes it easier to do the next thing. That reward loop is simple. Win, feel capable, try again. It doesn't erase self-doubt, but it quietly raises the floor you operate from. Break big projects into the tiniest, meaningful pieces you can imagine. Instead of write report, list, create title, draft bullet outline, write first paragraph, format references. Use a timer for short, focused bursts. 15 or 25 minutes works well. And treat the timer as your friendly referee. If you're extremely busy, schedule 2 10-minute slots in your calendar rather than one vague work on report block. Name the smallest possible win you can finish in that time and commit to completing just that piece. Use visible signals to amplify the effect of each win. Cross items off a physical checklist, drag a task to done in your app, or stick a post-it in a prominent place. Seeing progress reduces overwhelm. Make a simple daily habit. Write down 3 tiny wins before bed. That list becomes a short, honest evidence file of competence you can scan on hard days. 4 real-world examples. When cleaning the house, choose one surface to clear and then stop. When learning a new skill, aim for a single, repeatable action. 5 minutes practicing a chord on the guitar, rather than an all-or-nothing session. Pair small wins with specific if-then plans so you don't rely on vague willpower. If the urge to procrastinate hits, then do the 2-minute version of the task first. If you finish that, allow yourself to stop or continue. Most of the time, you'll do more once momentum builds. Tell one person what tiny step you'll take and when. Even a quick text check-in increases the chance you follow through. When setbacks happen, set a micro-recovery task. Send 1 email, clear 1 file, write a single sentence. Keep the bar deliberately low until consistency returns. Increase difficulty slowly and intentionally. After a week or 2 of reliable micro-wins, raise the size of the chunks slightly. Stack bricks, not boulders. Track patterns. Which small wins gave you energy, and which felt like chores. Adjust based on reality, not on what should feel good. Celebrate in modest, sustainable ways. A short walk, a strong cup of coffee, a 5-minute break. That recognition helps avoid the perfection trap that says nothing is worth doing unless it's flawless. Practical rituals keep the system honest. Start each morning by choosing one confidence builder task you will finish before checking email. End each workday by noting what you completed and transferring any remaining steps in a clear, doable micro-task for tomorrow. Over time, these tiny wins wire better habits, and your sense of capability grows not because you suddenly conquer perfectionism, but because you collected enough small successes to prove to yourself that you can get things done. Quick recap. Perfectionism blocks progress, not because you're lazy, but because the goal is impossible. Pick a clear, good enough target, time box work, break tasks into tiny pieces, and use versioning, V1, V2, so you can ship something now and improve later. Practical steps. Set a 25-minute timer. Do the smallest, meaningful chunk. Write 1 paragraph, send 1 email draft. Stop when the timer rings, and schedule a 10-minute review tomorrow. Treat your first pass like a prototype. Rough, useful, and replaceable. If you're busy, try this exact example tonight. Write the opening paragraph of that report in 15 minutes at 70% of quality. Hit save, name the file, report_V1, and put a 10-minute review on your calendar for tomorrow morning. That's gardening, not sculpting marble. You plant seeds now and prune later. First get it, letting go feels risky. Think of perfectionism as a safety harness that's become a straitjacket. Loosen 1 strap. Limit edits to 2 rounds, set a deadline you can keep, or ask a colleague for a quick thumbs up instead of reassessing forever. Tiny wins stack faster than waiting for flawless. If this video helped, subscribe for more practical tactics. Next time, First will share quick templates and a 2-step checklist you can start within under 5 minutes. Drop one small win in the comments so others can steal the idea. You don't need perfect to make progress. You just need to start. Go finish one thing today.